Okay. Let's start this video with this statement. I identify as a 16-year-old lesbian.
Hi, I'm Hannah Gabby and I'm here to tell you the binary is bullshit.
Hey. You can call me slut. And as one that identify as a 16-year-old lesbian, I can tell you I do not give a fuck what you say.
Sex typically refers to your biological traits.
Not typically. Always.
There's your gonads, your genitalia, your internal sex characteristics, your hormone production, hormone response.
Yes and no. Sex is related to the produces of eggs or sperm. If you producing eggs you are a woman, if you producing sperm you are a man.
And secondary sex characteristics.
Gender is about your identity, your expression, and it's often based on ideas about sex.
You mean like, men are usually stronger than women.
It's important that we really break down what are we talking about when we talk about sex and gender, and is there something called biological sex, and what does that mean?
This means that a woman can become pregnant naturally, if she is healthy, and a man can get a woman pregnant naturally, if he is healthy.
This idea that the body is either male or female is totally wrong.
No, it's not.
And I am living proof of that.
We know intersex people exist and break down this binary.
Intersex is a body malfunction. Because of this, the percentages that it will happen are so small. But they are still born with a factory to producing eggs, or sperm. None of them was born with the two factory.
We all have characteristics that are typically male and typically female, and it is really about political choices, social factors, ideological choices that we assign meaning to different parts of our body. So the meaning may be that the thing that most of us are taught, that if you have a vagina, you're a girl, or if you have a penis, you're a boy.
Yes, 90% of the time if you have a dick you are a man, and if you have a vagina you are a woman, but it is only true if you have also the reproductive system. If you have a dick and a reproductive system of a woman you are a woman. Genetic mutation does not turn you into another species.
But like many simple binaries, break down when you start to really get into the nitty-gritty.
If I go down to the little things, I will prove that you are a man. But you do not want me to do it to you, while you try to do it to other human being, right?
Over history, the location or the idea of what determined one's true sex shifted. 100 years ago, it used to be whether or not you had ovaries or testes. Then it shifted to what kinds of chromosomes that you had. But the body doesn't just have one place where we can sit there with a microscope or something else and say, hey, wait a second, this is really who you are, this is your true sex. In fact, who you are is who you say you are.
First of all, no. All the reproductive system is what determines whether you are a man or a woman. Second, as you say I can choose, then as a 49-year-old man I choose to be a 16-year-old lesbian. Now can I be with 16-year-old girls?
Intersex people are individuals born with varying degrees of sex characteristics that don't fit the typical script of what it means to be male or female.
This is the main problem. Except for being able to give birth or get a girl pregnant. There is no such thing as a typical male or female. Every human being is different from each other.
I identify as an intersex person.
I identify as an intersex woman.
You can identify how you want. This is what is called free will. And I have the free will to identify you as I want.
And we're not that rare. It's 1.7% of the population that's born like this. It's as common as people with green eyes and redheads.
You know, you've taken example that prove that it's very uncommon. Now what do you have inside your body? What is your body producing? Sperm or egg?
Everybody knows somebody, but it's sometimes hard for the person to speak about it, or the person doesn't necessarily know it.
I remember when I first learned about intersex and how surprising it was to me. I was like, what is this? Why have I never heard about this? And we haven't heard about it because it's actually been stigmatized for a long time.
Hey stupid, how can you put a stigma on something you do not know about?
One thing a lot of people in the intersex community talk about are medically unnecessary surgeries that are forced upon intersex children to make them fit into these boxes of male or female.
I do not like unnecessary surgeries. But the real question is, can they live a normal life without medical problems if they leave the two organs? If they will have medical problems, then you do not care if you make people suffer as long as you feel righteous.
I have gone through surgeries that have really stuck with me through my whole life and affected a lot of different parts of my life just so that I can fit into this box of female.
Again, what do you have inside? And why do you hate women so much?
It's possible to be both intersex and transgender, but it's really important to understand that they are not the same. What the hell?
I was born with XY chromosomes, and my gender at birth was female.
We tend to think that chromosomes for women should only ever be XX, but there are women that have XY chromosomes.
Again, what they have inside. Genetic mistake in the sex organ is just a mistake.
Chromosomes are not the sole determinant of your sex or your gender.
When I say I'm a woman, I don't just mean that I identify as a woman. I mean that my biology is the biology of a woman.
So you say you can get pregnant in a natural way?
Regardless of whether or not doctors agree.
Yes, and someone who does not have legs can still walk even if the doctors disagree. How stupid a person can be.
Saying that a person with XY chromosomes is only male is a narrow way to look at the diverse range of chromosome differences that we can have as a person.
What? How many chromosomes do you think there is? Who are your teachers?
Human beings are so complex that each person has the right to define who they are, and X and Y can't define who you are in your heart, in your mind, as you're growing in life.
You're right. You can decide who you are, but you cannot tell others how they see you, and you cannot decide for science how to see you. I want them to get to the condition that a man has cancer in his testicles, but because he decided that they should see him as a woman, they will not take care of him. And the same thing for a woman in the ovaries. So we'll see how they react when people start dying.
Too many people still believe that there's such a thing as a true sex and that it comes from your chromosomes. It's not the case. Science has known this for decades, and it's actually a consensus in science and uncontroversial.
You know there's such a thing as Google? Do you know that people know how to use it? Or you think they're all stupid?
Everybody has testosterone. It's just a matter of how your body responds to it.
It is also the quantity.
In the sporting world today, some female athletes are even tested for high testosterone levels and forbidden from competition just based on their naturally occurring biology.
Liar. There are two types of women who have a high testosterone. Those who take testosterone booster. And those born as men. Well, they keep up with their nonsense. Now let's understand a few things. It does not matter if you were born with a genetic error called intersexual. What matters is your inner system. If you have this, you are a woman. If you have this, you're a man. Now, you could be a man who decided he was a woman, or a woman who decided she was a man. You can be the one who decides every day to change between man and woman. Or one that he does not want to be a man or a woman. You can call it whatever name you want. But it is still a decision between a man and a woman, between two and no more. You have this right as long as you do not try to force people to see you that way. I was one of the people who always believed that everyone was a human being, and that the gays should have all the rights that everyone has, including a wedding, but if you ask me today, after all what they did with that, I'm not sure I can give the same answer. Hope you've learned something. Yes or no, you know what to do.